See, world, what we can do? We never stop learning. Welcome to Rita's World. We have a fun segment today. I met these people. I'm going to put my mask back on because the people I'm going to introduce you asked if we could wear our masks, and I said absolutely. So I'm going to put this back on, but I just want you to meet these wonderful, they're fans. They were walking by my house, and they said, Rita, we listened, we're fans of yours. They only got it on radio. They didn't know they could see it on the video or whatever they call it. But here they are, Judy and Jon
Bogdanov.
I was not good at this, but I want to introduce these lovely people who are neighbors and walk by my home. Dan, welcome, Judy and Dan. This is the first day of summer.
I know. Happy solstice. Happy solstice, everybody.
Thank you. Great. And what did you say earlier? You said something about you should have put the egg on the side or something.
Oh, hi, I'm Judy. This is my face. I shall now cover it up again.
Okay.
Yes, every equinox, fall equinox and spring equinox, I will take an egg and turn it onto its fat side and then balance it standing up. And you can do this all day, 24 hours on the equinox, any time during that day.
So that is proof that this is not just a phony thing.
Yeah, because I have tried it on other days, and I haven't been able to do it.
Amazing. Now, I never heard of that before. That's great.
I usually post it, and then I give my friends a little contest to see who's going to do it this year. And once in a while, I get somebody who's game, and they'll do it.
But on the solstice, have you ever tried to do it on the solstice, not just the equinox?
No, I just joke that on the solstice, you should lay it on its side. Just silly, because that's what they do all the time.
Or make a fried egg.
So, Jon, now, you write comic books.
Well, I draw them. I write them sometimes, too. But I'm probably most known for drawing.
Okay, show your face first so they see who you really are. There you are. Oh boy, you're handsome. Good
Nice
looking.
to see you again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. But I feel like we should wear these. I mean, I know that nobody here has the coronavirus, but it feels like a good example.
Exactly.
If y'all can hear us, I mean.
Yes, of course. And we talk loud.
Yes, we project and enunciate.
We're all
and stuff.
theater people here.
That's right. Okay. I messed you up there.
All right, there we go.
Okay.
I made this one, by the
Good
way.
for
You can tell
you.
what I made it from.
Yes, in the early days of the pandemic, you couldn't buy any masks.
Of course.
There was a shortage of them.
Right.
So Judy sacrificed one of her bras.
I made two of them, of course.
Of course, you made two masks.
It fits
Now,
my
is
face
that
perfectly.
resourceful
So
or
yeah.
what, right? Being resourceful. So, okay, now go ahead, Jon, about what you do and everything.
Well, I'm a comic book artist. I've worked for mostly for DC. I was also at Marvel for about 8 years. At Marvel, I drew the Fantastic Four versus the X-Men, which was a lovely miniseries back in the 80s. I drew a little bit of Spider-Man. I drew some X-Factor. And I drew and then wrote for several years a lovely book called Power Pack, which was Marvel's group of children superheroes.
Children's what?
Superheroes.
Oh,
They were the only superheroes in the Marvel universe who were kids.
Oh, great.
And they were actual kids. They weren't like,
So that inspired
Teen Titans.
children,
They were
too.
kids. Yeah, well, we had actually that book had fans of all ages.
Did you?
We had, I have 30-year-old people coming up to me saying that they read it when they were 5.
Good.
And are now reading it to their kids. I was actually on I was listening to. I'm going to be on a Power Pack podcast in about a week, I think. Some fellows up in Oregon, I believe, have a podcast devoted to Power Pack.
Oh, how nice.
And one of the hosts brings his little 5-year-old daughter on the show from time to time to read the lines of the youngest Power Pack hero. So that's great fun. So it's still a book that's read and enjoyed.
Great.
And has a following. But I think probably what I'm best known for doing is Superman. I do.
That's what's your shirt
Yes,
shows,
this is one of mine. This is.
My.
I've done a lot of what they call licensing work, which is the artwork that appears on toys and games and lunch boxes and T-shirts and stuff like that.
So
Advertising.
you get a residual like that?
No.
Darn it.
No.
Oh,
No.
see, life is not fair.
Life is not fair.
No.
No. This stuff is not residuals, but the comic books are, fortunately.
Okay. Well, there's some good out of this.
And we in the early '90s we did sort of a landmark when we were doing Superman, and that we did several landmarks. The biggest probably being that we killed him.
Oh.
We also brought him back. He got better.
Oh, good.
But
He did leave us some money in the will, and didn't ask for it back again when he came alive.
In the form of residuals.
Is that right?
I mean, the team that I was lucky enough to be part of, we actually restored Superman from being an almost forgotten character who was not selling very much at the time. Back to, in the 1940s during the war, he sold in the millions. And we're the first time he sold in the millions since was us.
And what age, what date was that this got going again?
92 was the death of Superman, and I was on the book into 1998.
Okay.
And so we covered the death, we covered his return, we covered his marriage to Lois Lane, his wedding. After all these years.
Oh, how nice.
Comics have sort of, superheroes have sort of become our modern equivalent of, the Greek gods were to ancient Greece. They've become our mythology because all the best superheroes are sort of a metaphor for something in real life.
Okay.
For instance,
usually teenage boy angst.
Yeah,
for the longest time.
Yes,
but now it includes girls too.
Hopefully,
good, finally.
Well, it's actually it's a good time to be in comics, particularly if you are minority or female, because the industry is finally waking up. That for 80 years they've been concentrating on the juvenile male power fantasy, which was what most superheroes are based on, and they suddenly realized that there's a much bigger audience.
No kidding.
So there are.
It actually started about 25 years ago with an organization called Friends of Lulu. The little Lulu cartoon. Yeah. So this organization, Friends of Lulu, was really trying to open up the world market for women in comics, and it was actually pretty successful.
But the real change is the more recent part of that change is it's really down to the millennials.
Okay.
Who are
yay for the millennials?
They're the greatest generation since the greatest generation.
I agree.
I get annoyed when people slag on the millennials because all the millennials I know are the hardest working.
Oh yes.
The most dedicated.
Oh yes.
The hardest to They are very skeptical, which means they tend more to be critical thinkers, which the world needs now.
And the Gen Z right behind them too, like those 6 girls in Tennessee this week who 6 teenage girls just within a week they had like 10,000 marchers in a protest with them.
Nashville.
The girls, power to the women.
Yeah. So things are changing, but I'm really glad to have gotten into comics when I did. I'm very glad to have, left my mark on nerddom. When I was a kid, and you were starting out in Hollywood.
Yes.
I used to watch George Reeves on television. And the show is terribly dated now. George Reeves played Superman back in the 50s on TV, and the show is terribly dated now. But for me, he was a very important, influential role model.
Okay.
Because there's something very paternal about Superman. And you know how we were talking about how superheroes are our modern myth?
Right.
So you're familiar with the Hulk, for instance.
Yes.
The Hulk is a metaphor for testosteronic rage, basically, and the struggle that men have sometimes to live with anger without being bad.
Interesting.
The X-Men is about being a teenager, because in the Marvel Universe, if you are a mutant, when you reach puberty, you develop superpowers that make you strange and different and sometimes weird looking and usually
scary to the straight people.
Right, and you become sort of an outlaw because there are forces in the Marvel Universe who think that mutants are bad, just like there are people in our universe who think that teenagers are bad.
I see.
So the X-Men are very much a metaphor for puberty, basically. And Superman is, I've always found, is really a metaphor for the struggle of average people to be good parents and good citizens. And that's what he's always meant to me from the earliest days. And I think that's the path we brought him back to when we were working on it.
Do you people have children?
We have one grown son who lives across the fence from us. We have a duplex with 2 houses.
How lucky can you be?
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I know. It's like our every dream of our life.
Oh.
Yeah, he works at home now in the pandemic. He's a director and a writer, so he does everything from his computer now. We see him all the time.
And you are a writer, and you do writing also, Judy.
Yes, I do.
Tell me, what kind of writing do you do?
Well, I wrote some comic stories back in the day, and
I even drew one of them for you, didn't I?
Yes, you did. Yes,
Good.
you did. And I'm sort of like, I'm a Sagittarius with Neptune in the first house, so I go from thing to thing.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's a fire sign. That's a fire sign. That's my rising sign. And you're a philosopher of all people.
Well, yes, and somewhat. So I've done a lot of things. I was a teacher for 24 years in New York City.
Wow.
And I did my share of singing back in the day until I realized the public life was really not for me.
No.
I loved doing it. I loved being out on the stage.
Yes.
I loved, it was a wonderful chance to be someone else for a while, but I hated auditioning and I hated having to interact with, sell yourself out.
I had that same problem.
So I stopped doing that, but then I got into writing music, and I wrote, there was one off-Broadway show that I did with a partner who unfortunately was one of the early AIDS victims, so that was kind of the end of that for a while. But I've written, I've written a illustrated children's book, which I'm still hoping to get published, and now I'm working on the sequel to that, which is a chapter book about some octopus under the sea who gets taken to a lab and finds out that he and the human have some means of communication with each other. So I'm hoping it'll be groundbreaking in the way we think about octopuses.
Well, that's lovely. I love it. It's a very positive book, very positive.
Yes, that's what I hope it to be. A little bit educational, but more entertaining.
Oh, of course. Well, I'm so glad that you said you'd come and visit me today with the virus going crazy, and it's getting bad again, isn't it, in California and all over?
Well, I think we're in it for the long haul. It's
at least a year.
At least a year, and very likely 2 years.
Probably. I can handle it, can't you? I can handle any.
I mean, for freelancers, there's not that much of a difference. They're home all the time working anyway.
I'm pretty much always on lockdown because I'm always at my desk drawing.
That's true.
But I mean,
We miss being with our friends and our family.
Right.
You know, we
Well,
Zoom
that's
and
why
things.
I have these things. And yesterday, I had a little dinner party at 4:30 in the afternoon, and my friend Lisa G, she's the acupuncture lady that was on my show. She's had a lot of viewers. Well, she brought all this wonderful Mexican tacos and refried beans and salad, and
Oh, yum.
we sat, and it was all outside, and we sat away. We had the best time. We had so much fun, and we were laughing, and we needed that. Everybody
Yeah.
needs to see friends, you know.
I want to hear your
That's
story
true.
of how you went from being in the movies, an actress and a dancer, how you came to hanging wallpaper. That seems like a really
It's a
distant
big stretch,
step.
isn't it? Well, I gave up the movie business when I came home one day. My little boy is in 2.5 or something, or 3, I don't know. His diapers were hanging down. My husband we didn't have money in those days, and I didn't make a lot of money, $7.50 for a week. You know, you can't go too far in that. But I came home and I said, you know, I asked God, the universe, for 2 children, and I am so blessed. I said, I can't come home and see my little boy with these diapers hanging down like this. It just broke my heart. I'm too sensitive. I said to my husband, Doodles Weaver, I said, Doodles, I'm going right in. I'm going to call Mr. Sid Gold, and I cannot do this. I can't come home and see my kids. I said, I'm going to give it up, and I'll go back. I called him. He said, they'll never take you back. And he was right. When I was 40 and the kids were older, I wanted to go back. I still kept my SAG after an AGVA card, honorable withdrawal. So if I had a chance, I could go back. They'll never take you back. And he was right. At 40, I tried to get an agent, and I did get an agent, Mr. Greenberg, but I didn't get any jobs. And so I knew the writing was on the wall, and my husband at that time had some problems with drinking and blah, blah, blah. And I had to go to work. So what could I do? My girlfriend was a waitress at the Brown Derby in Hollywood. I said, Pat, do you think I could be a waitress? Of course you could, Rita. You were an actress. You've done dancing. Why? So I said, well, would you teach me? And she'd come into the kitchen. She taught me how to carry a tray, how to bend down, not to drop. I mean, we had fun. So she got me an interview at the Brown Derby. You see, it doesn't matter what you do. It matters how you do it, and that you have pride in yourself, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I said, this too shall pass. I said, I'm not going to be a waitress all my life, but I can sure keep my house and my 2 children in a private school, Highland Hall, a
Wow.
creative school. So I said, whatever it takes. And I would say to people, if you want to go home early, I'll work the late shift. I'm always trying to pick up a buck, you know.
Sure.
And I never missed a house payment, water and gas or phone, and kept them in a good school. But they were nice to me. They gave me a scholarship, 2 for the price of 1.
Oh, that's nice.
Because see, I have a way about me. I shouldn't
Yeah.
say that, but I have a big
No, we
smile.
do. We all know that.
I don't mean to. This is what happened. I'm working at Sorrentino's. Now, that's in Burbank. Did you ever remember? It was on Riverside and Pass Avenue here in Burbank. So my legs swelled up. And I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, how many hours are you on your feet? Oh, I say I work the lunch shift and the dinner shift. He said, you know, you're getting older. You can't be on your legs that many hours a day. You have to give up one of those jobs. Oh, yeah, because then I was wallpapering. That's what I gave it. I was wallpapering in the daytime. I did the night shift. That's what. So I said, okay, I'll give up waitressing and I'll become a full-time wallpaper hanger. Well, a girlfriend, Connie Brown, a dear friend, she said, Rita, you should call yourself Reita Green, the wallpaper queen. I said, oh, Connie, I would never call myself a queen. Oh, no. Well, now I'm getting older, right? Now I started in 1964 hanging wallpaper.
Now, did someone teach you or you just learned on the job?
Frida Beach, the lady who taught me everything. In Burbank on Screenland Drive, we had a house there, 2-bedroom, and I had a boy and a girl, so we had to get a bigger house. But I was there 5 years. She taught me to wallpaper, to reupholster, to sew. I could make men's jackets.
Wow.
I mean,
Structured
tailoring
jackets.
and sewing.
Wow.
And she taught me to can, but I don't do canning. And to bake a little bit, I don't do that either. But those things, and she said, Rita, I had a little guest house in the back. We didn't put it in, but it was there, and it was ugly. I said, I'd love to put some wallpaper, cover it up like grass cloth, something that is just no flowers or anything, but just to make it a little. So she's, go to Standard Brand. Do you remember there was a thing on Victory Boulevard in Burbank called Standard Brand? Well, you could buy paint, you could buy wallpaper. So inexpensive. For 99 cents a roll, I bought this wallpaper, beige, it looked like grass cloth. I put it up. She said, Rita, Frida Beach, you have a knack for this. You should do this for a living. Oh, Frida, nobody's going to hire a woman. Oh, she said, how do you know? She said, put an ad in the Valley Green sheet. I don't know if they even have that paper. It cost me, I think, $16 or $18. It ran for a week. I got people, it said, lady wallpaper hanger, reliable, fair, neat, and clean. They called. I've been working ever since.
That's awesome.
Wow. Because the people say about it on Yelp that exactly that, how careful you are, how fair, how beautiful job. They talked about one job where it wasn't perfect, where only the lady could tell where it was something, and you came back and you redid the whole thing.
Yeah, I
beautifully
remember
and
that.
seamlessly. I was very impressed.
Yeah, well, of course, and I take responsibility for myself and my job. I want to make people happy, number one, and I want to make me happy and laugh all the way to the bank, right? You know what I mean?
Sure.
I want to do a good job for them, make them happy, and it works for me because I love people anyway. I give people the benefit of the doubt. When I say I love everybody, of course I don't love everybody, but I give people the benefit of the doubt. And then if they prove to me that I shouldn't really love them, I'll just tolerate them. Okay, so anyway, it's time for us to wrap up our little show, but I love begets love, and always, all you need is love in the world. And I want to read this one thing real quick. Dance like no one is watching, sing like no one is listening, love like you've never been hurt before, and live like heaven begins tomorrow or today. But that's what I want to leave everybody with. And thank you for joining, and hope to see you next time on Rita's World. Bye. See, world, what we can do? We never stop learning.